And step 4, this is our newest piece, the filming process of Thespies. Year before last, everything was virtual, as you guys remember. And then this year, the first round of Thespies was also virtual. So I'm going to go over some tips and tricks that's going to help you with filming your Thespies to make them visually appealing for the first round. Consider location, lighting, sound quality, and recording equipment. You don't want anything to distract from the performance. So those are your main things that you need to consider. My students, personally, we all do filming on one day, and we do it on stage. And I'll show you a picture of that later, of what that looks like. Film on a neutral background. Things in your bedroom, things at home, that could have the judge lose focus on you and start looking at other things. I can tell you from experience, my Thespies that have performed on a neutral background have always been more successful than those that did not perform against a backdrop. And so I know this to be true. So make sure that it's against a neutral wall, that nothing around is distracting from the performance. Film from at least the torso up, preferably knees up, and make sure that you check your angle so that your camera is not too low, that it's not too high, that you're in the shot, especially if you have extensive blocking. You need to check that angle, have somebody standing behind the camera and watching and making sure that no one is going out of frame. That's really, really important for your Thespy. Lighting that comes from overhead creates shadows on your face and makes it hard to see your expressions. So a lamp or natural lighting in front of you contributes to a clearer video. So make sure the lighting is coming from the front and not the back, not overhead. So like if you're filming in your basement, you don't want to stand right underneath one of your lights coming from up top. You want to somehow make sure that you have front light. And then sound, make sure you use a separate device to play the track. So if you're filming on your phone, then play the song from a different speaker. Do not film and play the track via a Bluetooth. That makes the sound distorted, and it is hard to piece everything together. So make sure you have sound coming from a different area, and I would highly, highly suggest you do several sound checks in order to make sure that the sound on the video isn't distorted and that it's not overpowering your performers. And then step 5, creating your video. Ideally, you would have a film partner. Like I said, my students and we all film in one day, and they all film each other. Make sure that angle is correct, and if not, adjust it. If you need to go back further, if you need to come up close, make sure that angle is correct. Your performance can be amazing, but if your camera angles are incorrect or your lighting's incorrect, it could really throw off what the judges are seeing on the video. Use a tripod or a stack of books to make sure you aren't filming from below, because the adjudicators will not be able to see your facial expressions. Again, check that angle. Film from the knees up to make sure gestures are captured as well. And then I would record about 30 seconds of your piece, or I would pick a section that you move a lot in, to make sure that the frame is okay and that you're not falling out of frame. We did a scene this year, and we did the same thing, filmed 30 seconds. There was a fight scene, and two of my students were on the ground fighting, and the angle in that 30 seconds was completely wrong for that. So we did have to adjust. So just make sure that you're checking that angle and that it fits the entirety of your scene. And step 6, submitting your video. I personally submit all my students' videos, but I know that's not always the case in every school. So just make sure that your students know that their video isn't private. It can be seen by those that have the link. Those that I know that do Thespies and run the Thespies say that this was a common problem, especially last year, is that videos were private and they couldn't access them. So make sure that that your video is not private. And finally, use your feedback to better your performance in the interim. So if you get that first superior, really take what the judges said and change up your scene. There's quite a bit of time between the performance, the first performance submission, and when you perform at ThesCon. So really take the judges' feedback into account and see what you can do to not make your scene stagnant and how you can make it better. And set your goal for Thespy Showcase. Don't just say I'm going in to perform. It's going to be fun, and it is fun. But set your goals for doing the best that you can for yourself.